Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week with a creator request, which is where a smaller band gets in contact with me and asks me to check out their works. Today we're looking at a band called Voyager. It says this band competed in Eurovision Australia Decides this year and won the public vote, coming second overall. Sadly, they didn't make it to the main competition, but they achieved a huge amount of progressive metal, a huge amount for the progressive metal universe, and you can find their live TV performance. Now the quintet is back with a brand new single called Submarine, which is a pop prog anthem of epic proportions with a hilarious music video to boot. Voyager embraces their amazing personalities and humor with sophisticated and outstanding musicianship, and I'd be curious to see your reaction to the track. So that's what we're going to be checking out. This is Voyager, Submarine. Let's see what they're bringing to the table. So I have a 4-bar phrase of 4/4. Utilizing a series of accented downbeats and offbeats to create a syncopated idea. Synths, I heard the bass pretty dominant in the last section. Speaking of the bass, I really like that cymbal work the drummer was doing. I love that transition out of the verse into the chorus. Very clean. Yeah, really great pacing on this. Hey! So that was fun. A fun video all around. A good lighthearted musical track as well. I think pop prog fits that perfectly in that it has some I don't even want to say proggier I mean it is, right? It's rhythmic manipulation, but that's really all it is. This is this is it is prog though, isn't it? I don't know. It's in a weird place because prog is complex, right? That's what it's a shorthand for. When you listen to prog rock, or prog metal, you're trying to find stuff that's super complex, super complicated. And this wasn't. It utilized some of prog's language in an extremely palatable way. So like my brain is like, dude, it's not prog. Stop calling it prog. But like it kind of is. Yeah, I think pop prog works, right? It's a palatable type of prog, which seems at odds. Prog is about being progressive and pushing outside of the mainstream, but this is about reeling that prog back in closer to the mainstream. And I like that angle. I do. Even just on the, it's a fun song. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time listening to it. But even on the sheer idea of musicality and bringing in new listeners to the style of music, we need bridge bands, right? You want to bring people from pop rock or mainstream music over to more progressive and complex musics. You're gonna need to meet them on their own terms. So yeah, it's just so good. It's a good decision from like top to bottom here. Um, so let's dig into some music here. As I mentioned, the main differentiator here is going to be the rhythmic jumpiness. A lot of this is based off of very rigid rhythmic designs based around syncopated hits and variation of short and long beats, bouncing around between downbeat and offbeat accents. All right, and that's what gives us the weirdness to it, right? That rough, jittery kind of start and stop feeling, especially in our intro. We didn't really revisit it as harshly in the song as our intro. Our intro really leaned into it, but that was still in 4/4, and it was still a 4-bar phrase. So there's our pop uh cage that our prog is being held in. It's a weird metaphor. um But like I said, this idea gets reined in quite a bit. And while our verses and bridge, guitar solo, keyboard solo section do utilize some of this rhythmic uh, ideas in the underlying parts, it's not as strong. It's groovier. It goes for that like groove feel rather than the idea of trying to trip you up. It's still rhythmically syncopated. It still plays around with accents, but it's done so in a way that you can just kind of groove with it rather than being like, when are we going to start next? When do I headbang next? Kind of idea. And you just kind of fall into the groove. Almost in a way, it's an overplayed word, but while the beginning has more of a progressive rhythmic element, the rest of the song goes for a gent idea. Um, Now, what was really interesting though is that right off the bat we had some strong bass presence in the super rhythmic thing. The bass was going along with what the guitars and drums were doing, but like bar 3 of the third repetition, there's a little bit of a bass solo in there. It's very cool. Speaking of bass solos, huge missed opportunity. I'm going to assume the music video came after the inception of the song, but in the music video, the band gets a bassist, and the Poseidon dude hands it to him and puts it over his neck, and it's right at the end of the keyboard solo, and it would have been so good. Just this really nice diegetic mix between the video and the audio to go into a bass solo there. You now have a bassist in the band. He's given his instrument. He's going to play it visually, show it in the audio as well. But instead, we went back to another guitar solo, and I'm just going to assume the music came first. But I don't know, even like a one off. Just remake the song for the music video version, and that third solo, just give it to the bass. I don't know, that would have been neat. Just a nice little thing there. Again, not that what happened was bad. It's just my expectations and the way that the video was rolling and the section was going. I kind of figured that's the direction you were going to go. And then just on top of that, like if it was a guitarist and we didn't get another guitar solo, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But bass, man, bass never gets any presents. And I don't want to put that on y'all's shoulders. But bass solos are so rare, and I really felt we were going in that direction. And when you didn't deliver, it's kind of like a double disappointment. But I'm bringing a lot of that to that's my own baggage I'm bringing. um. Anyways, though, I had to talk about that real quick because it was like the perfect setup for it, and then just didn't go in that direction. Just a missed opportunity, I think. So yeah, after our intro, though, we move into the verse, which, as I said, just kind of goes in a genty direction. They take that rhythmic syncopation in a lot of the band and just lighten it up a little bit, remove the harsh edges, keep it syncopated but groovy rather than disorienting. And our vocalist comes in, beautiful vocal work. Works really well for the style going on here because it has a bit of a poppiness to it. It's a higher range male vocal, and it it doesn't feel out of place with the music, with the guitars and drums and bass, but the inclusion of that specific synth tone works very well with the vocals. Again, I don't think the vocals are out of place, but they feel a lot more at home with that synth tone because that synth tone gives it a very modern pop sound, right? Almost, I mean, because like it kind of reminds me of the 80s too, but I know that pop music is going through like an 80s revival right now. There's a lot of 80 tones popping up, but it's more of that nostalgic 80 tones where they're not really doing it one to one, but it's what they remember these tones to sound like from 80s synths. So yeah, it's just it feels everything feels right here. That's the thing. Like this is a band who I could imagine making a song that is perfect for driving down the road in a muscle car with the windows down and having your hand out the window, just kind of doing like this while you're going down the highway with no lights, just constant movement. I could see this band pulling that sound off very well, and a lot of that comes from that 80s synth and the funness of everything coming on here. Um, but yeah, that synth brings so much to the table. That really brings everything together. I think if you had just been a proggy gent band with poppy vocals, it would have sounded great, but it would have been missing Hmm. That something, right? If I had listened to it, like it's missing something to really elevate it, and it's the synth, right? I don't know how that came about. Maybe the plan for the band always had a synthesizer in it. Um, Maybe it always had electronica. Maybe it was a last minute thing. You had your band together, and you knew a buddy who wanted to be in a band, but all he played was keyboard. And you're like, well, let's try it, and it just turned out fantastic. I don't know the story behind it, but it's phenomenal. I love that the synth is there. Our chorus just goes into pretty typical pop rock ideas of texture-based chords sitting around a very elevated and powerful vocal. There's nothing really here that stands out apart from typical pop rock production and even just pop production in general. It's a solid chorus, but it does exactly what pop genre does well, which is not a bad thing, right? If you're going to be leaning into that, lean all the way and take all of the advantages that you can. If a genre does something well, take what it does well, take its strengths, right? So lots of chords, lots of textures, lots of width and layering. It's a very big section. I think the only negative I have for it, which is personal taste, but the rest of the song is very intricately produced with a lot of space and clarity. You can very clearly hear all the instruments. They have their own little areas of the soundscape, and then the chorus kicks in and it kind of becomes a wall of sound. It just becomes this overwhelming force. And maybe that's the purpose. Maybe that's exactly what you wanted, in which case, mission successful. But I really wanted to hear more of some of the individual elements, and that could just be me in this mindset, right? I'm listening to it critically. I'm trying to isolate specific instruments to hear what they're doing, and then it just smashes me like a wave. And where I once saw individual, little crests while staring out at the ocean, now all I see is water because I'm under it, right? Um, so it makes it difficult for me to do my job in this setting, but I'm sure casually I would not have a single complaint about it. Um, but it was something that stood out to me in this setting because I had a phenomenal time. It's like, what's the bass doing? What's the guitars doing? What's the drums doing? And then I just couldn't pick anything out for a little bit, and I was like, wow, that's a massive, production shift. Um, but it absolutely works for the style you're going for. The pop idea of, smaller verses, which in this case, smaller is width, not quieter or layered, less layered. For this overwhelming largeness and to bounce back and forth between those two. Like that's classic pop right there. You guys found a fantastic way to take that typical thing and apply it to how you're creating music. Um, Guitar solo, keyboard solo. I already talked about it in the middle of the reaction, but bring it back up again real quick. Beautiful pacing. I love the mix between showing off, a little bit of that musicianship, and just the overall storytelling, really allowing the solos to breathe um, with these nice held out notes. Just whole note, maybe a half note, and then some, fast eighth notes, and then hold a note out or hold another note out. Just this really nice ebb and flow to both of them. All three of the solos, actually. Um, I don't know if one person wrote all the solos because they're very similar in tone and pacing, or if everybody's just got a very similar melodic style in the band, which is possible as well. But yeah, I'm just a big fan of all. It's right up my alley. Nobody was too showy offy, and there was always a consideration for what the narrative of the solo was. Um, just kind of wish there was a bass solo. That's all. um, so yeah, I enjoyed all aspects of this track. It's just a really chill, fun groove. And the music video was adorable. I absolutely loved the playfulness of it all. You got these hilarious actually like the shark costume seems like something you just picked up from Halloween, but the old-timey diver suit seems like a little bit of work was put into it. I don't know if that would have been a complete thing you could have just picked up from a Halloween store. Um, and then just the narrative of looking for a bass guitarist and the submariner, feeling isolated from the world, and every time he tries to do something, it's just not working. And then finding this group of other people who dress like him or are fun like him to connect with. And maybe that's the story of the real bassist. If so, I mean, it's a great story of finding kindred spirits. And I love seeing it done in such a way that puts a smile on my face and a tear in my eye. We got lyrics here? Yes, we do. So it's the last time, it's the best time, it's the only time that you will sympathize. Hold me tightly, never leave me, it's the only time that precious beats the prize. Submarine, submarino, Say the word and I come up for more. That gets repeated again. Interesting. We have a very repetitious section. Why don't you wait? Don't you wait? Don't you wait till I'm over the border? Why don't you wait? Don't you wait? Don't you wait till I'm under the sea? Till I'm better in order. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of mind till we're all in safe port. Submarine, submarino. Say the word and I come up for more. You had me at normality into the dream submarine. You had me at insanity into the dream alone. I'm coming up for air. So I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this went over my head. But it definitely seems to be about, I don't know. I kind of going with that idea of kindred spirits, right? Hold me tightly, never leave me. It's the only time that precious beats the prize. Say the word and I'll come up for more. Why don't you wait till I'm over the border, until I'm under the sea, until I'm better in order? Maybe it's just about finding that someone who makes you want to leave your submarine. You had me at normality, you had me at insanity. You know, the highs and lows, still kind of smitten with you. Uh, just say the word and I'll come up for air. Or I'll come up for more, and then at the end it says I'm coming up for air. I don't know. That's kind of the angle I'm going for, but it's also part of that just like bouncy, uh, bouncy vibes going on, right? The poppy vibes. It's a very optimistic song. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a strong read on the lyrics. I'm a music guy, not a lyrics guy, but I think I took a decent crack at it. Hopefully, I understood some level of what the lyricist was going for. Those are my thoughts on Voyager's Submarine. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it or not. Anything that stood out to you, anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on. In the description box above the comments will be links for Voyager, links to their platforms where you can listen to more of their music, links to their websites, social medias, all that stuff. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Also, head on over to their channel, which you can find in the description. If you enjoy it, like and subscribe their channel as well, ring their bell. And that wraps it up for this week. Sunday, I'll be back for the Patreon live stream in the morning. My morning, anyways, 11 a.m. EST. That'll be available Monday morning, and Monday we start Jazz Week, which I'm pretty stoked for. So, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.